In the summer of 480 BC, the Persian King Xerxes looked out at the largest invasion force the ancient world had ever seen. The numbers you hear from old historians are pretty wild. Herodotus claimed 2.6 million soldiers, which modern experts say is just impossible. Think about feeding that many people. But even the most careful modern guesses put Xerxes' army somewhere between 100,000 and 300,000 men. His navy was massive, hundreds of warships. He even had engineers build 2 enormous pontoon bridges across the Hellespont Strait, so his army could literally walk from Asia into Europe. It was like he was commanding the sea itself to bend to his will. But for Xerxes, this wasn't just a military campaign. It was personal. It was about correcting what he saw as a cosmic imbalance. See, 10 years earlier, his father, Darius, had sent a smaller force to punish the Greeks for helping a rebellion. That force got crushed at the Battle of Marathon by a smaller Athenian army. It was a huge embarrassment. Darius died before he could get his revenge, so Xerxes inherited not just the throne, but also the grudge. This wasn't just a raid or a little border dispute. This was Xerxes coming to wipe Greece off the map entirely. And the Greeks? They knew it was coming. They'd known for years. The problem was they couldn't agree on what to do about it. The Greek world back then wasn't a single country. It was a chaotic mix of independent city-states: Athens, Sparta, Corinth, Thebes, and dozens more. Each had its own government, its own army, and its own complicated network of rivalries. Getting them all to agree on something was like herding cats. A lot of city-states just gave up before the Persians even arrived. They sent gifts of earth and water, the traditional symbols of surrender, figuring that fighting back was just suicide. But the Spartans had a different idea. When Persian messengers had come to Sparta years before, demanding earth and water, the Spartans famously threw them down a well and told them to help themselves. Sparta, in 480 BC, was the most hardcore military society on the planet. Spartan boys started military training at age 7. They lived, ate, and slept in barracks with their units until they were 30. They were taught that retreat was the one unforgivable sin, not for glory, but because a single soldier breaking formation could get everyone killed. Their king, Leonidas, was 60 years old. He wasn't some young, hot-headed warrior. He was weathered, gray-haired, the kind of man who's seen it all. When the squabbling Greek states finally managed to agree on a defense, they chose a place called Thermopylae. It was a narrow coastal pass, squeezed between the mountains and the sea. In some spots it was barely 15 meters wide. It was the only real route for a massive army heading south into Greece. And in a narrow pass like that, huge numbers don't matter much. An army of thousands gets funneled down to a force of just a few dozen men fighting at a time. The plan was for a large Greek force to hold this pass long enough for the Greek navy to fight the Persian fleet nearby, cut off their supplies, and buy time for all of Greece to mobilize. But the force that actually showed up at Thermopylae wasn't what was promised. Various cities sent small, token forces. The Spartans sent King Leonidas and 300 of their best soldiers. Along with them came a few thousand allies from other Greek cities, Thespians, Corinthians, and others. In total, the Greek force was maybe 5,000 to 7,000 men. On the other side of that pass, the largest army ever assembled. For the first 2 days, it wasn't even a contest. When the Persian army arrived, Xerxes reportedly couldn't believe what he was seeing. He sent scouts, and they came back saying the Spartans were outside their defensive wall, just chilling, exercising, and combing their hair. Confused, Xerxes called for Demaratus, an exiled Spartan king living with the Persians. He asked him, "What's with the hair combing?" Demaratus told him the stone-cold truth. When Spartans dress their hair before a battle, they are preparing to fight to the death. Xerxes waited 4 days, thinking the Greeks would surely come to their senses and surrender. They didn't budge. So on the 5th day, he sent in his first wave of soldiers. They crashed against the Spartan line like water against a rock wall. The Persian soldiers were skilled, but they were used to open field battles where they could use their numbers to surround the enemy. In this tiny pass, they could only bring a few men forward at a time, and those men ran straight into the Spartans. The Spartans fought in a phalanx, a tight wall of overlapping shields, where each man protected the man next to him. They had longer spears than the Persians, and had been trained since childhood for exactly this kind of brutal, grinding combat. Wave after wave of Persian soldiers was thrown at them and broken. Xerxes, watching from a throne on a nearby hill, apparently leaped to his feet 3 times in shock as he watched his men get slaughtered. On the 2nd day, he sent in his best troops, the Immortals, his personal guard of 10,000 elite soldiers who had never known defeat. The Immortals were stocked cold. By that night, Xerxes was out of good options, and he knew it. And then a local man named Ephialtes showed up at his tent. Ephialtes was a Greek from the area, and he knew the mountains. The historians say he was just looking for a reward. He told Xerxes something the Persian king had no way of knowing. There was another way through the mountains, a hidden goat track, difficult but passable, that came out right behind the Greek position. Xerxes immediately sent his Immortals up that path under the cover of darkness. In the pre-dawn hours of the 3rd day, a scout brought Leonidas the terrible news. They were about to be surrounded. The pass could no longer be held. The council of Greek leaders met. The strategic goal-buying time for the navy had been achieved. A tactical retreat was not only possible, it was the logical thing to do. Leonidas sent most of the Greek allies away, telling them to save themselves. The Thespians, all 700 of them, refused to leave. Their city was directly in the Persian army's path, and they knew what surrender would mean. They chose to stay and fight. As for the Spartans, leaving wasn't even discussed. According to the histories, what happened next is incredibly consistent across different ancient accounts. Leonidas gathered his 300 men. He didn't give some big, rousing speech about glory or the gods. He just told them to eat a good breakfast. For tonight, he said, we dine in Hades. The final battle was fought in a wider part of the pass. When their long spears broke, they drew their short swords. When their swords shattered, they fought with their bare hands and teeth. Leonidas was killed fairly early in the fight, and what followed was pure, focused fury. The Spartans and Thespians fought their way over their own dead to recover his body, pushing the massive Persian force back 4 separate times before the Immortals finally appeared at their rear. Surrounded on all sides, they made their last stand on a small hill, fighting until the very last man fell. When Xerxes finally walked onto the battlefield, he saw the catastrophic losses his army had suffered. The casualties were so high that he reportedly had his own brother's body hidden among the dead before letting anyone else see the carnage. He didn't want his army to realize how many of them had been killed by just a few hundred men. In a fit of rage and perhaps fear, he ordered Leonidas's head to be cut off and put on a stake. This was something a Persian king had never done to a respected fallen enemy. It was the act of a man who was terrified of what that dead king represented. In the short term, Xerxes got what he wanted. He marched through Greece and burned Athens to the ground. But then, at the naval battle of Salamis, the Greek fleet obliterated his navy. His supply lines were cut, his army was overextended, and winter was coming. Xerxes was forced to retreat. The forces he left behind were defeated the next year at the Battle of Plataea. Greece survived, and with it Western civilization, its democracy, its philosophy, its art, all of it survived. Historians still debate if Greece would have made it without Thermopylae. But what isn't debated is that the 300 held the pass long enough. The fleet was ready. The alliance of city-states held together. That door that Xerxes needed to kick down quickly, before Greek resistance could get organized. That door was held shut for 3 critical days by men who knew they were going to die, and chose to do it anyway. At Thermopylae today, there's a stone with an epitaph carved into it, written by the poet Simonides. It has survived for 2,500 years. It reads, "Go tell the Spartans, stranger passing by, that here, obedient to their laws, we lie. No mention of glory, no drama, no request to be remembered. Just a simple, powerful statement of fact. We came here to do a job. We did it. We are done now." In all of human history, I'm not sure anything has ever been said more perfectly than that. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more. See you next time.